In this video, we're going to be talking about the 1972 classic Hitchcock film, Frenzy, which stars John Finch. We're Coffee with Aliens at the Movies, a film education and film review channel. My name is Robert Bellissimo. I'm an actor and acting teacher.
And I'm Steve Chambers, writer and actor.
And if this is your first time here, please consider subscribing to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe watermark bottom right at the bottom right of your screen, and then click the bell in order to get a notification every time we release a new video or go live.
I feel that this film was a real departure from what was traditionally a Hitchcock film. I think there's definitely elements that we'll talk about that are familiar, that you will feel, oh yeah, that's very Hitchcockian. But to me, it almost felt like someone trying to do a Hitchcock film. And I mean that in a good way. I feel that it was fresh. It felt like it was told by a much younger guy than Hitchcock was. He was probably 72 or 3 at the time. And even though he was that old and from this sort of old, not just Hollywood, but old British cinematic history, I think he really would have enjoyed doing more like, oh, I can show violence and sex and there's swearing. And it worked. Like, he was at home, I thought. And I think this was like a new transition. I really do think it is punctuated with a great sense of humor. And another kind of different for Hitchcock thing to me was it seemed to be more on location shooting than I'm used to. Obviously, there's a lot of studio work, but there's a lot of London. And I know this was his first film.
Covent Garden.
Covent Garden. And this, you would know. I have not been to London. You live there. But this was his first British film, really, since Jamaica Inn, when he went to Hollywood and he did Rebecca. I know he did 2 more, Under Capricorn and Stage Fright, are British in 49 and 50. But really, it was Hollywood movies. And so for him to return to England and really make like a British film with like all British, not even stars, just like good actors.
And he also didn't want to work with stars anymore after Torn Curtain. I mean, I think he would have, just to assure the financial profits at the box office. But I think his name was big enough. Also, he was like a brand within himself.
He was the
right?
star.
So,
and I think very few filmmakers can, become stars, that they can greenlight a film without traditional like actors stars, right?
I think it's a total Hitchcock film that he's done again, and he had done again and again, but now this is in the 70s. This is post Hays Code. This is the rating system, and I think it's an uncensored Hitchcock, because everything in this film, off the top, you have the crowd scene. And he did that in so many movies. The Man Who Knew Too Much, all the way back to The Lodger, starts with a crowd scene and a murder. And again, it's like, and he did that a lot. Murders happening where people can find themselves over a bridge, listening to a politician. Oh, what's that in the water? Stranger on the train. Everyone's at that the carousel, right? A carnival. Things that we can find ourselves in. And of course, he did so many films. Man on the Wrong. You got The Wrong Man. You got Strangers on a Train. You got
North
39 Steps. Actually, North by Northwest. Truffaut said Hitchcock almost made the same film again and again, but always from a different angle, or a different setting, or at least, with different stunts and different set pieces and stuff like that. And that's true. And I think here he's just unhinged. I mean, he did whatever, like you said, with that rape scene. Like, it's brutal, like it is so brutal.
Well, I don't disagree with you that this is like, that's absolutely, I think it's 2 sides to the same coin. Like, it is a Hitchcock film, 100%, but it's Hitchcock, unleashed, right? Like, uncensored. But exactly because of that, it doesn't seem like the Hitchcock, at least to me, that I'd grown accustomed to.
It's very engaging. And I just want to read, like, this is what sometimes I think, why am I so engaged by these stories, which are really on paper, to me, seem dull? Because, I mean, look at the IMDb plot. A serial murderer is strangling a woman with a necktie. The London police have a suspect, but he is the wrong man. It's like, okay, how many, like, to me, if I'm the producer, how many times have I seen this, Hitch?
Yeah, that
You know,
actually sounds like an episode of like a cop show. A
you know,
procedural.
so, but then let's just look at, how he goes about really executing these things. Like, for example, he makes you think that the wrong man is the killer off the top. You find the dead body. They instantly cut to him at this bar. He's temperamental. He's people are talking at another bar about the crimes, and then it at another bar about how this guy gets off sexually on raping women and then killing them. It's like he obviously gets off on this, and they're talking openly, and then you see that character, the wrong man, order a drink right in the middle of these guys, and so you think, okay, well, it must be him. He goes to his ex-wife. Again, he's temperamental. Everyone's wary of him. He flies off the handle very easily. Everyone's a little put off by him. And then when you see the killer, the real guy, you don't suspect him at all. He's friendly with the cops. He has nothing about him that seems that he could be this guy. No edge, nothing that's a little off about him. He really leads you on this path of, no, it's this man, until, of course, you see that horrendous rape. Now you're like, oh, it's this guy, this guy who didn't seem like he was the killer at all. And then of course, where the suspense comes in. He goes to see his ex-wife. The door is locked. He can't get in. As soon as he leaves, the secretary's coming back from lunch, sees him leave, and then away, as the audience, you're like, oh fuck, they're gonna think it's him. And I love that shot. He leaves it on the doorway for like 10 or 15 seconds.
When the secretary goes in.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, you're like,
two ladies.
Let's hear this scream. And it's, but I love what nothing is an accident with Hitchcock, right? No. Everything is, as you know, he's so technical.
Yes.
Mapped out everything. And what he did there, what I picked up on is, the woman goes up, you don't hear anything for a bit. Suddenly you hear footsteps. So I thought, oh, she's running out to get a cop or something. And then it's like, oh no, it's those two women walking around the corner. And then because your mind is waiting for like a big reaction, and then you go over and you feel relieved all of a sudden, and then you hear the scream. Like he really took you to three different places with just an empty shot, no dialogue, footsteps and a scream. Yes. But he knew how to I hit my camera there. He knew how to really tell you how to feel, like he had those tricks. He's from that pure cinema, where with some directors I like, with a lot of directors, with a lot of films I usually don't like, but when it comes to Hitchcock, it's so well done. I love it so much that those kind of cinema tricks from the beginning of the silent era, I don't think anyone did better than him. But that's the suspense. Now more than everyone. Everyone then as this evidence piles up that it's this guy. There was a motive. The secretary saw him leave. And I won't go into the details of how other evidence kind of goes up against this guy. People can watch the movie and see. And then you're like, oh shit, that's where the suspense comes in, because this guy's fucked. They put him in jail for life. And you're thinking, you're like, well, what is this poor guy gonna do? And then it's that cop, he has that hunch, right? Which the screenwriters said that the reason they use Vivian Merchant as the wife, because I thought, what's the point of this wife story? But the reason they use comedy there with the cooking, and she's a bad cook, is all that
well, it's expository dialogue.
Yeah,
too. It's
all
how
that
he thinks
stuff
out loud.
Yeah, all that stuff you're hearing, because it's a bit of a plot flaw. Like, how would that guy?
It's a device, right? Like,
exactly.
I don't disagree with you at all. In fact, I was going to bring that up. Just to make a comment on what you're saying. Yeah, I agree. It's well done. I think a good trick in filmmaking is when you need the audience to know something that they can't possibly see, right? We need to know the character's thoughts. Well, you can go voiceover, meh, lazy. You can go, he stands and explains it to, I don't know, a colleague, better. Or you mask it, you bury it in a different type of scene, right? So
Yeah.
what you're really doing, as you say, is we're just getting this guy's inner thoughts out. He's explaining stuff for the audience so they can figure out and follow how he's working. But we're going to put that in comedy scenes. Okay.
Yeah.
So really,
Yeah.
you're consciously just,
Well, it covers it up. That,
exactly.
yeah, and it also covers up the fact that it's how would that cop have had that hunch?
Well,
then again,
yes.
I thought if you're an investigator, you see these trials all the time, and to see the wrong man, scream out that it wasn't him, maybe
so
he
is
was
that
saying,
what it is?
That's
what
I thought. That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
I can think of as well, because I was trying to figure out, like, what is the switch for that guy? I mean, he's not an idiot. He's not just following the rules. We see, he's got character. He's interesting. He's clearly a focus just by virtue of the amount of screen time he's been taking.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
What was the moment where he didn't just go, great, case closed? I mean,
I took it as his conviction, like hearing the guy say, "It wasn't me. It was."
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they shot that. I think Hitchcock shot that in a way. I don't think you're wrong. I think that is the moment that we as well are supposed to realize, like, oh God, this guy's serious. So I believe that this cop, and we know, but I believe this cop might believe Blaney as well. Because prior to that, I mean, he does keep saying, he says to his wife, well, it's an open and shut case. But he says it in a way, he's not we don't need the dialogue to know the following, that for such a smart cop, he knows that rarely are things this neat and tidy, right? Like, oh, okay, all evidence points to that guy. Guess it's him. I'm going to bed. That, we've seen in films, the smart cop always digs a little, like, it's too clean, it's too easy. And while
we've seen that before. It's that detective hunch. It's that intuition. Yeah. Even in a noir like The Naked City, they had that as well, exactly. Right? It's not so far-fetched. It may be old-fashioned, but this film has stuff like that.
100%.
Even when the Blaney character, the innocent, the wrong man, like, I love the way they're about to put him in jail. so it is funny, right? Like, he throws himself down the stairs so he can go in the hospital and find an escape. And his escape is so, like, out of the 30s, right? Like, he gives the guy the sleeping pills, and then all he does is put on a lab coat,
jacket, and gets in a car.
And I'm like, how would no one have noticed? Like,
that was ridiculous.
It wasn't that much of a disguise, right? Like, I couldn't help but laugh.
Way too easy.
But
there's another point, though, back to the cop.
And he did stuff like that. If you watch the 39 Steps, it's that thing of the everyman being resourceful, quick thinking.
Oh, saboteur.
And it's fun, right? And I think Hitchcock can get away with that because he uses so much black humor.
Well, he's also winking at the audience.
And wink
stuff.
That
it's implausible, right? Like, he knows that, but we're gonna forgive it because we got to get the movie rolling ahead, and this isn't the part of the film we really care about. And to quote Hitchcock, films are just life, but without the boring bits. And
I don't see that as a flaw, I mean, and you can point to a lot of his movies and think, like we were even talking with Rope, like, well, why would Farley Granger be so guilt-ridden immediately? Like, there always are, but it's like David Mamet says, if you don't give the audience a reason not to believe it, they won't doubt it. They'll believe it, right?
I totally agree.
So if you say that this is what it is and then move on from it, usually if you move on from it quickly,
I agree. But
they'll believe it. Not always, but if it's done well.
I think that's completely reasonable. I like that in a film. I don't need all the, well, how did he, because he knew. I don't care. When it's done poorly, I care. It's a plot hole. I'm going to question it. But this guy knows that he not only knows what he's doing, he knows that like, the guy escaped with the sleeping pill. Who cares? But I think that also answers the question about how did our cop have these hunches? Because he's a good cop. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Yeah,
I think that's it, because there isn't any moment. Because I really did think, like, well, how the hell does he think? that it's Rusk, this other guy, all of a sudden.
Yeah, how
Well,
did he
no,
go there? How would he know who Rusk is, right?
Because Blaney said it. That was it. When
Yeah,
he
he did. He did say it's Rusk, but
it's
then how does the
be
cop
Rusk.
even know who Rusk is? Unless he just asks, well, who's he referring to? Oh, it's that guy who works at Covent Garden. Maybe
Well, that's it. I guess.
that could. I mean, that's possible. That's possible.
And then they had the good fortune of that woman at the other bar recognizing his photo after he escaped from the potato truck.
Oh yeah, because they spotted him. Yeah, exactly. And which makes sense. He did. He went to the bathroom. Yes. He would have had to have. He would have had to have called to get back.
Yeah,
he would have been there long enough to get spotted. So actually, it was very easy to find him.
Absolutely. And if I'm going to be, I'm just being, who the hell am I? I'm not Alfred Hitchcock, but if I am going to be super picky, it's all in that. Like, how did this guy get back to the city? His debit card? Like, did he bring his wallet with him? Like,
well, that's another thing. Yeah.
We didn't even see it. He's just back. And exactly. Okay, Blaney yells when he's caught and they go through his bag and the victim, Babs, his stuff's in his bag. And he yells, oh, that's not mine. Rusk did that. And then the next shot, or maybe it's not the next shot, but pretty shortly after, the cop is driving around and they spot Rusk and they take a photo of him. So then, okay, how did you know where Rusk would be? Well, no, that's not fair because Rusk ratted out Blaney. But
that's right.
Did they get the witness up at that truck stop cafe when he escaped from the potato truck? How did they know to go there to have a woman identify him? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was you know what? That's the thing. It happened so quickly that with the distraction, that's why he cuts to the food and this other thing with Vivian Merchant. Of trivia: Vivian Merchant was the ex-wife of Harold Pinter, the famous playwright and screenwriter. Yeah. She was in a number of his plays, and I believe some films that he wrote as well. She was great.
Wow,
she was great.
But
that's the thing because he does it so fast. So if you just say it and then you have something else going on, then no one is going to even stop to.
You're right.
And there's so many things. Like why would the pin have been in her hand? Like how would
they show? Do you mean was it still in her hand?
Yeah, like I understand because of rigor mortis it gets tight, but why would it be? Why would your I guess.
His flashback when he's figuring out like, oh shit, where did I put that pin? And then cut to, you see her hand claw at it. And he's like, oh man. But fair enough. Within her body in a sack of potatoes with this little pin that it was conveniently still in her clutch.
It is funny.
And does rigor mortis set in that quickly? I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
I don't know.
But it doesn't matter because it added to you, the audience, laughing at something as grotesque as him breaking her fingers to get it out.
Oh my God. Not only that, then he goes through all that and he forgets to tie the sack back up.
That's right.
It falls off the truck. I mean, I'm like, it is funny. Like, I don't know. It's like, Hitchcock, I think he knew I think he knew that people will, to me, if I was making that, I think, geez, is this going to turn into a farce? But I don't know. He had the confidence to know that with the music, with the suspense, with the POV shots
behind him.
I think now things are so cut and dry. Like, I think if you're going to do suspense, it's going to be serious. It's going to be scary.
Right.
But I don't know. I never see that middle ground anymore. Like in the 30s and 40s, they always had these mix of humor and drama or dark humor. And Hitchcock did that, probably in every single one of his movies, if not most of them.
Yeah.
And it works so well. And even in the potato truck, the reason you're really rooting for him, like you said, again, is that POV shot. When he's opening up her hand, it's a POV shot. And so now you're him. When he looks over at the road and he sees, my God, if I jump, I'm going to die. I can't jump out of the truck. It's you. You're stuck. You're the guy, right?
Like, so what do you do? And that's where my mind went. I'm like, how do I get home from here?
Yeah.
But like you said,
it's the same one. It's the same in Psycho. When after Bates kills Janet Leigh, and he at that point you still don't know that you're
No, you think it's the
don't know
mom?
for sure. You think it may be the mother. But when he goes back and then you see him washing up, you're still like, yeah, get rid of the body, man, because it's all at the POV. It's the POV shot. If
Yeah,
that's what they're showing you,
you
then
have to identify.
that's where you go, right? So
Mm.
it's just so well crafted from a story which seems done to death, which he had done to death, and ordinary, but he's doing it always in a little bit different of a way. And again, now it's
Oh,
the
he keeps it
70s,
fresh, and yeah, certainly in
absolutely.
this film, he did it in a very '70s way,
Yeah.
and to its favor. And I wish, after this he did what Family Plot in '76 or something, which
Yeah, that was it. That was his
I
last one.
I I think was a cute film, but felt like an old fashioned movie, and that's fine. But I wonder if he kept going in this like frenzy path, like, oh, where were you going? Were you gonna
Well,
make
yeah,
Halloween? Like,
I don't know. Well, it's apparently he had told Truffaut that one of the things he thought was, should he have experimented more with not just suspense but just with different genres, maybe character studies. I mean, he shows that in The Wrong Man, which it is a
yeah,
suspense film, but it is the most sort of drama or
it is.
documentary like film he did, right? So
Yeah,
he always thought, should he
yeah,
have moved away from this genre? Should he have? I mean, he did do different things, especially from a lot of the films that people don't know that he did early in his career were, just straight comedies, or they were like he made one of his silent films as a boxing film called The Ring.
I
Like
didn't know that. Oh, cool.
yeah, which is good.
Oh,
So
I'll watch
I
that.
think I think he definitely had it. He obviously was interested enough in different psychological themes. Just the thing with Hitchcock is he never went into those themes,
Right.
like he just showed them, but then went back to the suspense, so because that's what the story ultimately was, right? So
Mm.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, but I really think this is the last masterpiece for sure. I mean, I don't think anyone would doubt that that this isn't his last really great film,
Yeah,
and made as if he's as made as if he's a young guy. It feels like a
I
guy's in
agree
his
with.
thirties,
I agree. I agree
uh,
with that. Yeah.
doing this. Bit of trivia is apparently the woman who played the barmaid.
Yeah.
They originally offered it to Helen Mirren,
I
and
knew
she
that. That's
regretted.
right.
She regretted
Yep.
later turning down the
And they
role.
also offered Rusk to Michael Caine.
That's right. That's right. And he
Yeah.
must have really wanted him because the guy who plays Russ
I know he looks like
looks so
Alfie.
much like Michael
The
Caine.
hair. Yeah.
The hair, everything. And apparently Michael Caine ran into him some years later, and
Yeah.
Hitchcock
Hitchcock.
wouldn't even look at him,
Yeah.
wouldn't even talk to him, right?
Yeah.
But
And then
it's odd.
ironically, and then Caine didn't do it because he didn't want to, play this sort of creep. But
Yeah.
he would do movies like Dress to Kill by
Well,
Brian De Palma,
yeah.
who was imitating Hitchcock.
Yeah, that's what's maybe he regretted it and thought, well, here's my
Yeah.
chance to
Here's
do
my next
something
best thing.
like that.
And P.P.S. Dress to Kill, I think is fantastic, but
Yeah, that's a
I'm
good
not
one.
putting it down. But yeah. I knew that about Caine and Helen Mirren.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and those here Mirren wouldn't have been a star yet. Caine was for sure a star.
yeah. He was, he was.
He
So
was
I
big.
think he would have been really good too.
Oh
I like
yeah, man.
I like I forget what's the actor's name here is Barry Foster. I thought he
Yeah,
did very well,
he's
but
very
I
good.
think Kane had he has a certain coldness about him
Yeah,
a certain intensity there that I think would have worked really well. Plus, he has a humorous side to him as
he
well. So
does.
it's too bad, but I thought Barry Foster and John Finch as well
They're great.
were both really 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 good.
Yeah,
The other thing, actually, if you go on YouTube, there's a 40-minute documentary about the making of Frenzy, which is on the DVD as
that's
well.
right. Yeah, I
And
have
the
the DVD.
screenwriter, it was actually the screenwriter who said, "Don't show the second murder. It's just too much." And
I
it's so
agree.
unbearable,
And you don't
and
need it.
that's why, and it's actually scarier because the camera doesn't go in the room and it just pulls back, and I took that almost like you know, it's as if you were there, like, whoa, just let me get out of here. Just let me tiptoe my way back out.
Which makes you
You
sort of
know?
a complicit. Well, it does, right?
Yeah,
It
it
makes
does.
you
Yeah,
there for the assault, but
yeah,
you chose to, I don't want to physically take part in it, so I'm going to walk out. I'm also not going to tell the cops or do anything to help. I just don't want to be here. And now
yeah,
you're sort of, maybe that's the moment where you've now sort of accidentally linked yourself to the Rust character so that when he is worried that he might get caught because of the pin, you are like, oh shit, buddy, 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 if you go down, I'm going to go down because I know what you did because I was almost a witness to it.
yeah,
And it is, I agree that seeing that first murder, I think was great. I think it worked real well. And I
yeah.
don't need it again though,
No,
right?
you
Like,
know, and
because
it's
they don't
also
water it
it's also
down.
scarier because you're imagining what's happening,
Well,
right?
yeah, you've
So
seen it once. Now you know. And like you said, I think it's you were privy, you were at the party, and you went, nah, I'm good. I'm just going to walk out. I'll leave my own business. I'll mind my own business. But I think had we watched it twice, it would have diffused, it would have watered it down. Because seeing the
yeah,
murder rape
yeah,
once was like, Jesus. Seeing it twice, then it gets into almost like a Friday the 13th in that
yeah,
it
exactly.
becomes cartoonish
Yeah,
and its severity is sort of lost, and
yeah,
seeing it once really sticks with you, and it's wildly difficult to watch even for 1972, I think.
yeah.
And
No,
like
I
you
thought so.
say, and once you just know, it's so creepy when he takes the second victim and says Babs and says, you know, you're my kind of woman.
Yeah,
Door
that's it.
closes, you
Yeah,
fucking get out. And the
yeah,
camera moves slowly as though you're tiptoeing so he doesn't notice that you've left. And that all heightens this
exactly,
horror, this
exactly.
real nervous feeling, you know?
Yeah, and then when the camera is outside, if you notice, there's a guy who walks by with a
Well,
sack of
it
potatoes.
changes the shots. Oh, it is a
Yeah.
sack of potatoes. That's funny.
Again, that's that tongue in cheek,
I didn't
right?
think about that.
Even in the
That's
apartment,
great.
if you go into Rusk's apartment
Yeah,
when he brings Blaney inside
yeah,
and then he calls the cops,
yeah.
um, if you notice that it's a funny scene because for one thing, he's positioned between two paintings of women on his wall. One is a
Right.
normal painting, and the other woman's face is blue. Did you pick up on that?
I
I
didn't.
was,
That's
you know, I'm
interesting.
like, a
No,
blue
that's great.
face
That's
to
not a
show.
coincidence. Yeah.
There's no coincidence with
No, no,
Hitchcock,
no.
right?
I just
And it's
hadn't
not
thought
only
about it.
that, not only that. When he leaves, hey, don't worry, but hey, don't do anything I wouldn't do. I
Yeah.
just thought, oh my
I like
god.
that. Yeah.
And then within seconds, the cops got. I just thought,
Yeah.
what a fucking dick, you know.
Oh,
But
such a dick.
yeah, but you knew he knew that he knew the evidence was against this guy. He knew they were looking for
Oh, it
him.
was
Boom! Oh,
perfect.
I got him.
And I mean,
Um,
and I buy how that worked out too, because the whole point of the film isn't this guy trying to set the other guy up. That was a happy accident.
no,
He
yeah,
was
that
like,
was it. Yeah, because they were
oh,
friends, or
great. Yeah,
friendly,
they were
anyways.
friends. And
Yeah,
once he just happens to find out because of timing
yeah,
that the innocent man, Blaney, was the last seen leaving the victim's place. He's like, oh, this is wonderful. Oh, all
yeah,
right.
exactly,
Um,
exactly. So
and it's
he
kind of
had his
neat.
scapegoat
Yeah,
right there, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
it's very very well done. And this is another film, like we said last time. I don't believe it's on any streamers, so you'd have to get either
No,
the Blu-ray or the
yeah,
DVD.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
there is some featurettes on YouTube, some really
There
interesting
are, yeah, yeah,
interviews,
yeah. The
and
documentary you mentioned's on YouTube,
yeah,
which is also
that
on the
is on,
DVD. Yeah.
which is on the DVD. So yeah, a great last hurrah for Hitchcock within the suspense genre, and back to his British roots. Of course, that was also his father worked in Covent Garden, right? So
Yep.
that's why another reason why he wanted to shoot there. That's when the markets were going at that point. So it's really, I believe, one of the last films where you can see that the food markets and everyone selling. Fruit and vegetables and stuff like that, which is what his
Mm.
father did, was a
Yep.
merchant.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, excellent. Was there anything else you wanted to mention?
No.
Okay. Good. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Again, if this is your first time here, or if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to our channel by clicking on our Coffee with Aliens at the Movies logo to my top right, and then hit the bell to get a notification every time we release a new video or go live. Thank you again. We'll see you next time.